there's a time to be political. There are a lot of things that I could say about a lot of places, and I'm at liberty to talk about many things, because I can. But I don't ever bring people down to the front and ask them to talk about really highly politicized things. So we're not going to get into, I just want to say this, we're not going to get into highly political things today. We could, but we're not going to, because I'm not going to ask these folks to do that. Just like when we did the class on Saudi Arabia, I didn't dig into some things that I really could have dug into, because it's just not fair. And there's so much to talk about that why focus there? We're going to just kind of get into a wide range of issues related to culture. And so for me, you all, what I want you to know. Hey, by the way, first off, I need a volunteer, like someone who hasn't volunteered, who just wants to do something really fast. Can we? Just somebody, anybody. It's going to be fun, actually. Dude, have you not volunteered? You haven't. You have. Give me someone who hasn't, man. Who hasn't? Do you want to volunteer? Feel like it? Yeah? All right, come on. Let's go. This will be awesome. You didn't really have a choice, in a way, right? All right. So first off, what's your name?
My name's Emmy.
Emmy? Okay, Emmy. So what I want to say to you all is, what I want to do is, Emmy, before I ask you to do what I'm going to ask you to do, what I want to say to you all is, I just want to have a conversation about China. We're talking about China all the time. China is so critically important for the future of the world, and for us, and for all of us, that and people know very little about China. So I just picked out some things, and we're going to have a conversation. And you all can introduce yourselves in a few minutes. But what's your name again?
Emmy.
Emmy?
Yep.
Okay. See, look at the names on top. Which one? The very first one. Which one is a first name, and which one's a second name? Which one's the family name? What do you think?
What do you mean?
The family name, like, which one's the first name? So, like, Emmy, what's your last name?
Vitali.
Vitali?
Yeah.
So Vitali being your family name and
Yeah.
Emmy being your given name. So which one is the given name, that very first name on top? Which one's the given name and which one is the family name?
I don't know. Is it the second one?
Think the second one is?
Maybe, yeah.
What about the second name? Which one is the family name?
I would say maybe the first one. I'm not
The
sure.
first one is the family name?
Yeah.
And those two names, are they male or female names?
I don't know. Female? Male? I don't know.
No, go ahead, guess. What do you think? The first name, is that a man or a woman?
I want to guess a man.
A man?
Yeah.
And the second one?
A woman?
And what makes you think it's a woman?
I don't know. I'm just taking a guess.
Taking a guess?
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, okay, how about this? How about the second names?
The second?
The second set of names. Are they male names? Female names?
I feel like the second is a female name.
The second is a female name?
I feel like that, yeah.
And the first one?
Yeah. A male name.
First one's a male name?
Yeah.
And which one is the family name?
I feel like for both of them, the first name, or the second name is the family name.
Dude, you got it 100% correct.
Oh, really?
Every single one. Yep. That was amazing. All right? Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, that's all you had to do. Yeah? One final thing. So which one, so there are two women here, right? First off, how do you pronounce, this is going to, hang on, come over here. So this is wrong, all right?
You want me to pronounce it?
I want you to pronounce her first name, and then Wrong's going to pronounce it for you. Go ahead. Well, first off, I just butchered her name, so.
Oh, wrong?
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
No.
I don't know what else it would be.
Well,
Wrong.
just assume it's whatever you say is going to be wrong. So wrong will be wrong. But what do you think? How do you think you pronounce her first name?
Wrong. I don't know.
Go ahead, give it a shot. Come on,
Well,
be
can
like.
I do all of it? Or?
Yeah, do the whole thing, but start with, yep. So Chinese, so you say the last name first.
The last.
and-
Okay.
Okay. So wrong is her family name, right?
Riqui? I don't know.
Go ahead.
Riqui?
Tell her how you say it. Listen.
荣瑞琪
I don't know if I could do that.
Whoa, holy shit. Say that again. I mean, it's like you could be speaking a completely different, okay, you are speaking a different language. Listen, hang on, listen to this. Go
Okay.
ahead.
荣瑞琪
I don't know what she just said, man.
Dude, say it louder. This is awesome.
荣瑞琪
So do you hear her say wrong?
Wrong?
Wrong.
Sort of, yeah.
Did I get close? Wrong.
荣
Wrong.
Yeah.
And then say that.
Wrong?
Wrong. Okay, go ahead. Your first name?
瑞琪
Ooh. Go
Can you
ahead.
say it again?
瑞琪
Ritzy?
Yeah, it's very close.
See.
That's close?
Yeah, it's close.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, let's go.
Awesome. You killed it. All right. Thanks. All right. Hey, a hand for Emmy. Sweet. I'm not even going to try it, so you will be wrong. Hey, so introduce yourselves. Let's do that. And
So,
just say where you're from.
all right. My name is Yifan Gao. Yeah. So I'm from Beijing, China. I'm a senior right now.
Cool.
Yes. I'm majoring in econ and German.
Wait, you're majoring in what? Econ and German? Yes. Damn. All right. All right.
So my name is Kai Le, and my last name is Tian. But I go by Kevin, and I'm from Beijing.
Say that in Kailu.
Kai Le, it's like
Kai Lu.
like Le. Yeah, you don't pronounce it in English, so.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't. No, that's like wrong. Wrong. I mean, we can't even make the sound of your first name, right? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm majoring in labor human resource here, and I'm a senior.
Okay. Okay.
My name is 瑞琪荣 I come from Hefei City, Anhui Province. It's in the south part of China, and I'm a senior student. I'm majoring in public relations.
And so do you speak, so if you're in the south part of China where they speak more Cantonese than Mandarin, right?
Not that kind of south. It's
Not that, okay.
it's like in the middle actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And
got
my hometown is actually Beijing.
Your hometown is Beijing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Bori, and you guys can call me Barry. I'm a senior student majoring in enterprise risk management and minoring in stats. I'm from Nanchang, China. It's a small city in the south.
Okay, cool.
Hi, my name is Yechen Zhang, and I'm a senior. I'm from Qingdao, China, a southeast of China, and I'm majoring in public relations.
So, hang on.
Qingdao,
Yeah, but, okay, say your Yi Chen?
Yechen.
Ye Chen.
Mm.
Is that okay? I'll just
Yes,
go
it's
Ye
right.
Chen.
Yechen.
Okay. And I will call you Ro. Is that good? Wrong. Okay, dude.
Hello, my name is Shen Kai Zheng. I'm from China, Hangzhou. It's a south part of China, and I major in statistics.
So, Shanghai.
Yeah.
Yi Cheng. Ye Chen. Barry. I'm going to go with Barry, bro. Wrong. Kai Lu.
Yeah.
Dude, that wasn't bad, right? Yeah. All right. And Yifan. Yes. All right, man. Awesome. So here, first I want to talk about this. What's this? How do you pronounce that? How do you pronounce, you're laughing, right? Wait till you hear this. So how do you pronounce that?
Niang Pao.
Niang Pao. Someone say what it means. Someone say what it refers
Basically
to.
describe a male that act like a female.
A male that acts like a female. Is it derogatory?
No, actually.
Mhm.
It's more like when people are making jokes.
Mm-hmm.
kind of bad.
So tell the class why I put you know what we're going to talk about here, right? Does anyone want to take this on, bro?
Yeah, it's like with C-pop, many of them like very skinny, makeup and dressed like little bit like a girl, so people attack them by saying Yang Pao.
So do people attack them, or there's a government? Go ahead, bro.
Basically, it's very simple. It's an insult.
What's that?
It's more like insult to
An insult.
men who dress like women. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Like, so the literal is the literal translation girly, like girly guns or something like that? Yeah, girly guns. It doesn't make sense in English, but. Okay, so the Chinese government has recently had a campaign where the government is saying, listen, all this K-pop influence, right, which is influencing C-pop, which is, like K-pop stars are really altering, which is pretty cool, by the way, the way we're thinking about gender and the way people are bending gender. And, you look at like these guys. This is a Chinese band. What's the... This is the TF boys. Is this the TF boys? Yeah. Okay. And the TF boys, what's that mean? The fighting boys, right? TF? Isn't it the fighting? Is that it?
I don't know the meaning of the name.
Okay.
Really.
I think that's it. I think it's the fighting boys.
I think maybe not the fighting, because like they're like a group of boys and
Yeah.
they're just 3 of them.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a very big family, and they all call TF boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And actually, they're the most popular one. Yeah.
these guys are the most popular.
Yeah, they're the most popular. one.
C-pop boy
Yeah.
band. And C-pop is like, K-pop is Korean pop and C-pop is Chinese pop. So the idea is that K-pop stars, the young men and women, but really the young men, are pushing the boundaries of gender. So it's like, which is really fascinating that they're, and pushing the boundaries, meaning that, hey, we're going to go from this male masculinity macho stuff, and we're going to just take a trip over here toward what would be identified as more feminine. And not only are we going to do that, but we're going to do it in a way that we're awesome artists and we're awesome stars, and people all over Korea, all over China, all over Asia are going to think we're amazing, right? And we're these sex symbols, right? Sex symbols, right? So let me ask the two of you, what do women in China think about these guys?
Actually, they're very popular among young girls,
Younger girls?
and also like for adults, like 30 to 40 years old women, they
Yeah.
all like them actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are really popular among like all different ages actually,
Uh-huh.
and the government likes them actually.
But the government has put out now this campaign about the neopop, about saying that, listen, this is not a movement, a cultural movement that we want to tolerate, right? So we're not going to invest, we're going to stop investing resources in these neopop boys or groups or whatever, right? And has that slowed down support for them at all? Is that, you know what I mean?
I think it's not about like gender stuff. It's more like money washing. So
About what?
people wash money in this kind of things.
Okay. Is it also about like the themes of their songs, that the themes are really about making money and power and this sort of thing?
No. It's just about some rich people. They want to wash their monies.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
So that's so fascinating because, when things happen in a country the size of China, it's like 1.4 million people, and the Chinese
A
government...
billion.
What's that?
1.4
billion.
billion.
Yeah, billion. Billion, million, whatever. Give or take a few million. So by the time it lands here, what we read about in the media here is often really different than what actually happens on the ground. It's like what you all read about. What did you hear about guns in America, right? That people think you were going to come over here and get shot? Yeah.
Yeah.
What did they say?
They say it's very dangerous.
Yeah. So if you come to Penn State, you're going to get killed if you go into a...
Like before I came to US this semester, my parents actually wanna like stop me from like going here to continue my study because they think like the pandemic here is still very like serious. Because like the media like in China is like portraying like differently, but also like when I back to China last year, like the media here in US also portrayed differently. Like
Yeah.
China is very like have serious pandemic, when like the pandemic in China is actually pretty much over, like last year.
Yeah. Huh. Do you guys want to add anything to here? Well, hang on. Let me do another one. So these bands here. So is this Jay Chou guy? He's popular, right? Is he popular with everybody? The reason I want to talk about these is because I just want to give you kind of a sense of this. Like, when you say popular, like when we say popular, what do we mean by that?
It means everyone in China knows them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like
So-
TF Boys is very, very popular. Almost everyone knows them.
So this, how do you say
Jay Chou,
the one on the left?
GEM.
GEM, you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah,
So
Deng
is-
Ziqi.
What's the equivalent here in the United States for her? Like,
Ariana Grande. If I said her name right.
yeah, Ariana Grande.
Yeah, it's similar.
Everybody knows who she
Everybody
is.
knows her.
Or Beyonce.
Yeah.
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 Huh. Okay. And is this guy Jay Chou, is he a sex symbol?
No.
Not really? Well, maybe not for you, bro. Are you straight?
Sorry.
Yeah. Is he a sex symbol? Yeah, you can just
I
leave
don't
the
think
mics
so.
on. You don't think so yourself? Okay. All right, so listen, man. I want to talk about it. So there's this thing that K-pop has kind of moved the chains. As we say in English, there's a term. We say move the chains on the way we think about gender. K-pop has done that. It's entering into China, and people are starting to think, at least the government, people are starting to think about it differently in some way. Gender, but also there are other things associated with it. Okay, here's another one. Have you heard of, do you know this? Do any of you know this?
I think I know this. It's about education, right?
Yeah, about parenting. And
Yeah,
stuff.
parents, they want their children to have very like good education, so they force their children to study at a very young age.
Uh-huh. So let me try to pronounce it, right? Is it
Jiwa.
Jiwa?
Jiwa.
Jiwa.
If you translate it, it's like a chicken baby.
Chicken, right, chicken baby. Like, do you guys know this? Do you know this?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of equivalent to, like, you have to put a lot of resource in a kid, and then to the best primary school, and then middle school, high school, to the universities. And also he or she has to, like, know how to play piano, guitar, and all sorts of things like that.
So here, we call this like helicopter parenting, right? And there you call it like chicken parents, right? Do you know where it comes from? The chicken parenting? Do you know where the term comes from?
I think it comes from because there is I believe there is a cut down for the outside of school. How do I say this? You know, there are some of the agencies in China that they offer after school
Yeah.
practices and also
Yeah.
regarding like math, Chinese, and English, or like that. And government is trying to cut down that to give more free time and relaxed time to the younger
Yeah.
kids. Yeah, it comes from that because prior to that, basically, I was kind of like that when I was young. So
Yeah.
when I was in primary school, I spent like basically all my weekends to study English, obviously, and
And
yeah.
you succeeded because you speak really well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here for 7 years, so yeah.
Oh, all right. All right. Okay, I take that back then. You should speak well. All right. So wait, hang on. I want to back up. This refers to chicken parenting, it's called. And where I've read that it comes from, I've been reading this, so I've kind of been watching this for a couple of years. Where I've read that it comes from is there was a practice of people taking the blood of chickens because chickens have a lot of energy, right? So in order to like really invigorate energy, and so people started to call this chicken parenting, as like kind of a joke or something around that idea that you that anybody has some sort of traditional practice. Have you heard that at all?
Never.
Yeah? This is what I'm reading. I don't mean like in Western press, like I'm reading this in Chinese press and stuff.
Did you read it on media?
No, I didn't. I didn't read it in Chinese, in Mandarin, but the idea is because chickens have a lot of energy, right? So whatever the case is, it's connected in that way to chickens. So the idea is that parents are like in here in this country, we talk about helicopter parenting, meaning that you are and just filling like your child's time every 15 minutes, every hour, just like because you want to make your child be the best your child can possibly be. So the child has no downtime whatsoever. So tell us what it's like to be like a real high energy child growing up in China.
My mom is math teacher. She teach me math in kindergarten, like basic algebras. So I think I'm one of them.
Wait, basic algebra in kindergarten?
Yeah, it's pretty easy, like below 20.
Dude. All right, keep going, man. Yeah. All right. I flunked basic algebra 5 times. I dropped out 5 times in college. All right.
Really?
Yeah, really, dude. You're looking at a verified idiot right here. So, okay, go ahead. Keep going. So
And I also learn instrument in weekend in like primary school. And my mom gave up on high school because he sent me here. Because she said it's too tired to do this.
Uh-huh. So you were busy all the time?
Both me and my parents.
Yeah. So you're an only child?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so meaning that the 3 of you were like really working and studying, like so after school you would just keep studying?
My mom is math teacher. She has math homework for me.
So it never ended?
If I perform well, I will have free time.
Like you'd have 10 minutes or something before
No,
you went
it's
to bed?
like 1 day off.
1 day off per month or per week?
If I get A on the test,
Yeah?
so I get 1 day for free time.
Wait, 1 day like per month or week or
It's
year?
not per month or per year. It's just like after
You
you
just get a day.
you
Okay,
get
I got you. All right, man. All right. Because like I had a free day every day because I never studied or anything. So, okay, somebody else, like what's it like?
I started playing guzheng. It's a kind of Chinese traditional instrument
Uh-huh.
when I was 4 years old, and I keep on learning and practicing guzheng for 11 years.
Wait, hang on. Let me ask you this question. Are you any good?
Sorry?
Are you any good?
Yeah, I enjoy playing it.
No. Are you any good at it?
Yeah, I'm very good at it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. No,
Yeah, of
do you know-
course.
Do you know why? Do you know why I asked that though?
Uh-huh.
Because East Asians often, like it would be common for me to, she plays this for 11 years, and I say, are you any good?
Mm-hmm.
And you would say, no, I'm not really that good. That would be often a response. But
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
you
good
know
at it.
that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I started learning playing badminton when I was like 8 years old, and I keep on learning badminton for more than 7 years, I think.
Uh-huh.
I started learning drawing comics when I was 3, and I keep learning it for 7 years.
Uh-huh.
And
And when you say you keep learning, meaning that every day you have time set aside where you work
every
on these
week,
things?
I mean, every week I take classes, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
started
yeah.
learning English when I was 3 years old, and I keep it learning till today. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Damn. All right. Somebody else. Bro, you said you were a dual.
I mean,
Child?
like compared to them, I am pretty happy child. Yeah. So like,
Hold the mic close. And what do you mean by that?
So basically, I started to play accordion. It's a kind of a Russian instrument, and from kindergarten, and then I just I lost interest to that when I went to primary school, and then so basically I just told my dad that I wanna quit, And my dad was like, nah, bro, you're gonna have something that you can get you're good at, and so that you won't be like a waste man when you.
Dude, you won't be a loser like your
Yeah, you won't be a
sociology, your
loser,
future sociology professor.
Yeah, so basically, then I made a deal with him. So I quit playing accordion, and then I switched it to English. Yeah, and then so basically after that, I spent, yeah, just like they said, I spent probably 12 hours per week just to study English after class. And then I finished the middle school in China and the first year of high school the first half year. The first half year, yes, in China, and then I came to the United States. Yeah.
So it's not, so this idea that parents are really filling all the time of their kids with activities and learning skills and like building up things, that's
Well, for me, I think it's different because I am the person who wants to learn this kind of thing. I enjoy learning and playing guzheng and playing badminton. That's my interest.
got
Yeah.
you. So it's a balance in there. But this is the new thing that everybody has been talking about, right? For a while back it was called tiger parenting, and now it's chicken parenting. Yeah, high energy, like fill it up. Okay, so I want to go in a slightly different direction. I want to show you. You kind of turn around because I'm going to look at some data here really fast. So I want to talk about COVID-19, and so the U.S. 330 million people. By the way, COVID. If you are a person that's going like, none of these numbers are completely accurate. Okay, can I just say that, by the way? Really clear. Who has COVID? Who doesn't have COVID? Does everybody get counted? Do some people get counted who really don't have COVID? I mean, it's all like, come on, like, what is this? But mostly, as I'm, know lots of people in the healthcare profession, mostly we're going to say that, okay, they're more or less accurate, right? So 46.8 million cases, 760,000 deaths. Okay? China, 1.4 billion people. So we have to divide by 4.25 to get to 330 million. So what I want to do is compare China and the U.S., okay? And we're going to look at this, and then I want to have you talk about it a little bit. So before I do so, I'm saying, been doing a lot of research the past 2 years to try to figure out what can we really believe coming out of China? Like, what can we believe, right? And what I want to say to you all is, there's the opinion on that from people who don't study China, who've never been to China, who know nothing about China, and then including people who write headlines and articles. And then there's the opinion about that by people who are Chinese experts. What can we believe coming out of China? What information and what can we believe about what the Chinese government says? So this guy here, Stanley Rosen, specializes in Chinese politics. I mean, he's like one of the people, right? And he's saying, listen, about the statistics that I'm going to put up. He's like, yeah, they're not completely accurate, that we know, but they certainly suggest that China's doing something pretty serious. And the statistics that I'm going to show you are what are basically equivalent to other nations in East Asia. And so, like, they're not that different. So here we go. So total cases in China, 126,836. Again, it's more than that. Chinese government generally doesn't include asymptomatic cases, and we tend to in the United States and the West, certainly in the U.S. And they also don't include clinically diagnosed cases, but that have not been confirmed in a lab. So it's like, yeah, we know you have COVID, but we haven't really confirmed it in a lab. Well, the U.S. often will use those cases where China doesn't. And so, these numbers are going to be a little higher, but nonetheless. So look at these numbers here, total deaths, okay? If the Chinese population was the same size as the U.S. So there they are in comparison, okay? So, again, they're not that wildly inaccurate, trust me. Well, you don't have to trust me. I don't care if you do. What I want to ask you all, what's China doing? What did you do?
Can I answer?
Yeah. No, we're gonna do Ifan first.
All right. I think Chinese really trust their government. Like, no one will refuse to wear a mask. Yeah, I think like whatever Chinese government say, like, oh, let's stay home and don't go out to like shopping or for around. Chinese people actually follow the rules of government. They trust the government, so I think that's how they control the COVID.
So the government says do X or do Y,
Yeah.
and not only do you trust, but you have to do it.
Yeah. But like most people willing to trust, not because they have to, but they want to do it.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Somebody else.
I think why we have like these numbers is because when the COVID is outbreaks, like it is during the Spring Festival when like most of our business is naturally shutting down. And so during that time, like we're not going to interact with each other like too often. And after the Spring Festival, like we have like a better idea about this virus and how to control it. And then like government like have designed a kind of app that just track everyone's like location. If you are like if you are tested positive, so they will track where you have gone and like give area like people in that area a test, so we can control it like very well.
Hey, can somebody explain that more, like how that works? Because I think that we don't. Can you
For
explain that?
example, if a person on one train tested to be like positive, and then the whole train, the passenger of the whole of that train, whole passengers of that train will be tested, and
So wait, how do they know all the passengers on the train, right?
they buy ticket, they have to record.
Okay. Okay. So like, let's just talk about here in Penn State. So let's say you're taking the bus onto campus. You know, you live out on Wapelani Drive or somewhere, and you're taking the bus, and you buy a ticket, right? Let's say you have to buy a ticket. You swipe your card, whatever. So they know where you are. So if one person on the bus or the train, whatever, is test positive, what happens? You get notified or something?
They will be sent to the hospital, and all the people who talked to him or see him before on that day will sent to the hospital as well.
So how do they know who you talk to or who you see? Like, give me some examples of how this happens.
Because when we buy like train ticket, we use our national ID card. Like to buy the ticket online, you can swipe your national ID card to get into the train. So that's why like how they can track like which one take this train, and track you like where are you going or like something like that.
So what if when you get off the train, you go then to buy something at the drugstore? Would they track you there also? They would know you went to the drugstore.
Like if you like to purchase like stuff in drugstore, they will not like track you. But like they have like a cooperation with carrier, like for your phone.
Yeah.
So the carrier will provide like where have you been. Like if you like in a city that had like outbreak in 14 days, like the carrier will keep the record.
Okay, so the idea is that you want to find out if I have COVID and I'm standing next to this dude right here, like you as much as possible, you want to know who you've been around. And so the Chinese government, through like the app like WeChat and different apps, right? They're going to be able to have as much information about you as possible so that they can respond and tell you, okay, you got to go to the hospital and you got to get tested, or you have to go into quarantine or something like that.
If you tested positive, like the officials will ask you where have you been, what did you done before, and if you didn't tell them the truth, it's illegal in China. It's against the politics, you know.
And what happens if you lie?
You will be put into jail for 15 days.
Yeah.
So like when I go back to China this summer, like a lady in like next to our apartment building actually lie about being like come back in from I think Korea or Japan, and she lied. She said like she already tested or something, but she lied about she actually go to the supermarket when she's supposed to stay at home for 14 days, and they actually bring him to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fine, look, the fine in Taiwan in the early part of this pandemic was like 15,000 US dollars. Like if you did what you just said. It was like, I think that's my memory. It was $15,000. It's like, holy shit. Like that's so much money. Like it's not like a small amount of money. So the fine in China is probably a lot, for Chinese people, it's a lot of money also, right? Anyone want to, do you want to, Chen, do you want to add anything? Do you have the app on your phone that you have to have a barcode, right? That says that you are, everyone has that?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Wait, hang on. Wait, do you want to explain that? No, go ahead.
So if you are like healthy, like the code will show like green. If you are like potentially like contact with a potential like how to say that, like a
Potential infection.
yes,
Maybe, yeah.
and it will turns like yellow. And if you are infected, it will turns like red.
So everywhere you go, so like if you're on campus here, every building you would go into, you would get your phone and show the barcode at the entry to the building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, but yeah.
You go to a store, you go to the
Every place
movie
that you go, you
theater,
have to show
everywhere
the code.
you go. So when we think about how you get that number of cases and the number of deaths, the way you get that number is by you give the government a lot of information about you, and you follow rules. And so Americans are like, that just goes really against our nature. But for you all, somehow it's okay. Can you talk about what it is that makes that okay? Because for most people in here, they would resist that. Do you have a thought? Like, what makes it okay? Wait, Ichan, I want to hear from you. What makes it okay? Just follow rules. Do you not think about it? Do you like...
Because people want to protect themselves.
People what?
Want to protect themselves.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Do you want to...
Like the way you like report the test and like to obey the law or the policy is actually like not only protect yourself but also protect the people around you.
Okay, so
Yeah.
can you all say something about that? It's like, for example, are you wearing masks right now to primarily protect yourselves, or to, like, which direction do you lean, right? To protect yourselves or to protect other people? Yourself? Yeah. That's because you're here in the U.S. But in China, here's the thing, right? So I want you to talk about this a little bit, right? So in East Asia, so, in Korea, China, Japan, et cetera, right? There's an we say, oh man, hang on. There's like an inflection toward, or the community itself, other people, are really, really important. Yourself is important, but the community is important. Here in the West, it tends to start with yourself, right? Like, what are my interests, right? So therefore, I'm going to wear a mask because I got to protect me from other people. Whereas in China, there's an inflection that says, but I have to protect other people from me because I might be infected, and I want to be... So can you say something about the difference there?
Yeah, like when the government put out the official ad, like suggesting people to put on the mask, it at least for me, it made me think of like the greater good, to sacrifice a little freedom, but to like not let China die from COVID.
So you sacrifice little freedom for the greater good, and the greater good is the community. Anyone else want to...
I mean, like, I understand for most of Western countries, they focus more on individualism, like basically you from begin to think everything from yourself, and then it's the greater good. So because my major is in LHR, so we did actually, I myself did a project regarding this topic. So basically in East Asian countries, we tend to focus on the outcome of the community first and then to individuals. So basically what this means regarding this kind of situation is that you ain't gotta, the government says that you have to put the mask on so that we can get through this pandemic. And then you have to do it, because if you are the person that did not do it, and then you're gonna slow everybody down. So, and then from continuing from what they just said, like the green QR code, and also the code that you need to have before you can travel to anywhere else. I believe it is not something that we consider as privacy invasion. I believe it's something that is responsible to everybody, because you cannot just believe the person you just met and then whatever they said. So basically you have to show some evidence that you are actually clean from COVID, because you don't actually want to get COVID, right? So because you might die from it. So basically, I believe that we do it this way because we care for the greater good of the community instead of just the kind of the leisurement for individuals. Because I understand that, because some of my classmates from my high school ask me the same question, like, why do you have quarantines when you go back to China? Why do you all have to wear masks, or why do we have like special laws during the COVID pandemic? I just said that because nobody wants to get COVID, and then if you want to get through this pandemic, you have to act like you pay attention to that, and you have to focus on the current issue. Like, that's
right. Okay. Were you gonna add something?
I'll just say when COVID started, and my parents asked me like, how is the United States? Is the United States have trouble about COVID? And they sent me like hundreds of masks, and I wear them to Walmart every time, like every weekend. And I see like half Americans don't wear masks. My parents said, no, it's too dangerous. We have to go home. And I said, it's more dangerous to take the flight, because on the flight you don't know what other people like are they tested positive or not? Because United States doesn't force people to like say they tested positive or negative. So my father said, yeah, you can stay, but you can only go out like once per weekend or per week, and they will make sure that I follow their obey their like.
So they're doing contact tracing on you.
Yeah.
So wait, but have you been back to China?
No.
Since the start? Oh, you haven't?
I didn't.
Yeah, same here. I have not been on an airplane. I'm going to get on, inshallah, I will be on an airplane in December going to Colombia. But so listen, so here's the idea, y'all, right? There's not like the right way and the wrong way. Somehow you have to have a good society. You need people that are going to operate in the interests in such a way that society can progress forward in the best of possible ways, right? Here, we have this kind of, in the West, although we struggle with this, but there's an inflection toward if every individual follows their own personal self-interest, right, then everything will just work out for the best. And if it doesn't, then, this will be a problem. But if you just let everyone do that, people don't want to die, and so people will do the right thing. Elsewhere, it would be, if everyone just follows the interest of the whole community, then things will be really good. Here, let me show you this. This is something we've already talked about, but this was a poll done, at the end of last year. Do you accept or oppose the use of COVID-19 tracing, like contact tracing, which was what we just talked about, like on your phones? And look at China. So I didn't leave the strongly agree, strongly accept. The dark blue is strongly accept. The light blue is accept. The yellow is, okay, maybe yes, maybe no. And then the red is reject, and then or oppose, and this is strongly oppose. So look at the U.S. China's 58% of the population strongly accepts the government tracking us. In the U.S., it's 16%, right? I mean, it's really a very different way of seeing things. All right, man. I want to do this one. So I just want to ask you, I want to go back to this issue about how much people accept. So I think this is a picture, I think I pulled this off of a website in Wuhan. This was after, so when things shut down in Wuhan, again, to get these numbers, y'all just shut down, man. Like, the city shut down, like, literally. Y'all, you got to understand this. When Wuhan, so this is a city of, like, what, 13 million or something? I think it's about 13 million people. When Wuhan shut down in order to stop the spread of the virus, it literally was a ghost town for, like, 40 days or more, but I think it was about 40 days, as I recall. Like a ghost town. I mean, there's like nothing. You didn't leave your house, like nothing. People delivered things to your door or to outside, but like it was the streets are never empty because there's so much traffic in China everywhere, right? So were any of you weren't there, but were any of you there during the beginning of the pandemic?
Me too. Me there. I remember that the COVID was like started at the end of the 2019. It's probably like the end of December at that time, and I was in Wuhan at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just after I left Wuhan, then I went to Nanjing, and then Wuhan was shut down. And then after from Nanjing, I went to Beijing, and then I flew to America. I went back to America, then Nanjing shut down, and Shanghai shut down.
Wait, so you must have been carrying the virus to all those places, right?
But I'm fine.
So you were like person Y, or whatever they call it, right?
I have a friend. He lives in Wuhan, and his grandfather was died because of COVID at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So we already talked about this question, right? Like, what's it like to have a really strong government and lots of rules? And because, we don't have a strong government and rules, right? Like, I mean, here, I don't even know, whatever. Everyone just kind of does their own thing, right? So, in comparison. And so what you all are saying is like, yeah, whatever, it just is. You're just living. Do you feel like your personal freedoms get taken away by having a government with really strong rules? Like, do you have a thought on that?
I feel the same. I live in China and I live in here.
Yeah. Say more about that. Say more about that.
Oh.
By the way, hang on. Listen. Hang on. Just hold on 1 second, right? I want to say something to the class. Listen, class. We talk about freedom. In here in the United States, it's all about freedom and my individual freedom and my individual liberty and my ability to do this and do that and do what I want to do, right? So everything is really about freedom and liberty. And so I think like a sociologist, right? So I taught a class here called the Sociology of Freedom years ago. I used to teach a lot of really interesting classes, and now I just have this class. But it was really about just like, what is freedom? And what I did was I would walk people through a day. I wake up in the morning, I go into the bathroom, I brush my teeth, I do my morning constitution, I go make coffee, I go here or there, I walk up to school, I do all these things, and the next day I do it again, and again and again. And almost at no point in my reality, I'm just speaking like a sociologist. This is not political at all, right? I'm not shilling for China or a stronger government. But like, at no point at all in my day, I think about today, yesterday, the day before, I don't even remember when any action that I took would have been different had I lived in the middle of like some kind of dictatorship or something. You know what I mean? Because freedom, my day-to-day life is just my day-to-day life. So I'm not arguing for one way of being or another. I'm not arguing that. What I'm asking for is step outside of our lives and start thinking about, wait, what is it? What is freedom really? And what's it mean for me? So go, who was going to talk? You were going to talk.
I would just say freedom is very hard to measure. It depends on what you're talking about.
Okay.
Like in China,
Talk about just your day-to-day life here at Penn
daily
State.
life. It's about the same. Like in China and in the United States, I think they all agree with it. And like my personal story is when I first came to United States for high school, my high school classmate asked me, "Do you feel more freedom?" Because whatever bad happens in China, I'm like, where did you know all of this? I feel completely the same. Completely the same.
Somebody else who would want to say something?
Like I watched a documentary filmed by a foreigner, lived in China for 20 years, and he described like the freedom in China is freedom of like far from fear, because you don't have like firearms or like drugs like that. So it is very like you will feel safe to walk down the street like in the midnight, but I will never do that here in US. But I also feel like they have a little bit like too strict limitation on entertainment, like how the content were created.
Right, I got you. So
yeah, I felt like that is kind of like too harsh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But the life there is like safer, I could say that.
So like the things that you can get to on the web, the like lots of stuff that you could watch, this kind of stuff. It's like there's a lot of censorship.
Yes.
And I think about what if I were walking around the class right now and looking at like what are the things that people look at or are looking at or have looked at on their phones and all that. Most of it's just stupid shit anyway. So it's like whatever, censor it. Like my God, like what's it? But some things really matter. Some things get censored that actually really matter. But things get censored here. A lot of stuff, y'all, by the way, a lot of stuff gets censored in the United States, my friends, and you have no idea about it. And you think you're getting the truth, and you're not getting the truth. At least in China, maybe you can know you're not getting the truth. But here, we think we are. And I'm not sure which is worse, actually, because here, I think a lot of us get lulled into this idea that we understand what's going on. In fact, we don't understand anything about what's going on. Does anybody else want to say anything about?
Yeah, I truly believe like privacy is overrated.
Privacy is over. Hang
Yeah,
on.
like-
This is the quote. This is the quote of the day.
Yes.
Privacy is overrated.
Like people get like very angry and frustrated when like they know like government can track their phone and watch their camera, but at least my privacy is worthless. Like you can like hack in my camera and watch my day and put it on internet. I don't really care. Like no one will have the time to watch your life. Like yeah. I don't really like get like maybe government officials, they need like high privacy to have like national security and stuff.
Yeah.
But just average people, their privacy is worthless. No one care.
Listen. All right. So listen, man, dude. Here's what I want to say on that. I'm not. You all understand that this is a sociological point. It's not. It doesn't. I'm sitting on the sociological point. So what's it mean it's worthless? Like where is it not worthless? Where is it worthless? Where is it not worthless? This is like just sociologically speaking. Because most of what you do your whole life really doesn't matter to anybody. And some things do. And where do you draw that line? But by the way, the reason we live stream Social 19 and it goes out into the world is because like I'm like, look, no matter what, everything that happens in here, anybody can look at. And at every moment, I know that anybody can look at it. And so I want to be completely transparent at every level. So go ahead and look at it. I don't care. You know? Okay. But I hear you on that. Okay, next one. So, countries with the most students who study abroad. China is number one, right? So the question I have for you all is like, what do you get out of coming here to the U.S.? how is this going to advance you? 'Cause you probably lost math skills, you know what I mean? You should have stayed home working with your mom. You got dumber being here, right? But what do you get from studying abroad in the U.S.? How's it going to help you?
Less pressure, because there are so many like people in your age and compete with you, and they are all jiwa.
Wait, so less pressure. So so back in China, like if you were in college in China,
Yeah.
there's many more people who are competing with you.
No, not college. It's about high school.
High school.
Yeah.
Oh, entrance exam to high school. Can you say something about the entrance exam?
Well, actually, we have a word for this kind of situation. We call it 内卷. So it's like because we have too many like people in China, the population is very, very huge, and like I was born in 2000, and actually in 2000 year there's like really, really a lot of like child born in 2000 years. So we enter into the school at the same year, and at that time we have like the high school test, which is you take that test to get access to the college. And in China we have different levels of college, which is we call it 一本、二本 and 大专. You know, it's different levels. So if you like get into a 一本 level, that's the best one. But for that level, we also have different levels, which is 985 and 211. It's so like 985 is the best one, but it's really hard to get into that kind of level. And even though you get into that kind of level, you still need to take the graduate degree or the master degree or something like that, because we have too many people are competing together. You know, like you spend your whole life, like more than 20 years on studying, and when you like go to work, maybe you only get like 5,000 RMB. That's like $1,300 a month. That's not even you can use it to live, actually. You know what I mean?
So you spend your whole life start learning algebra when you're in 5 years old, and you get there and you end up making $1,300 a month after jumping through all the hoops. But is coming to the U.S. then? Is it harder to get to the U.S. or is it easier to get? Is it easier to get to the U.S. than to go to the best universities in China?
Yes.
Wait, hang on. Yicheng.
If we want to get to the best university in China, we need to prepare maybe 6 courses and have a test. But if we want to come to America and improve our education, we just need to learn English.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Dude. So
I-
wait, hang on. So that means that all the Chinese students that come here are slackers, right?
Yeah, but I felt like the master of measuring how you perform in academically is different from here to like China. China only measuring how you like perform in your academic level, but like when we applying for college here, they also measuring how you did your like internship, like extracurriculum,
Got you.
like award, like club, like that. Like I don't want to say like which one is easier, but like how they measuring like your performance is different.
Okay, so but you got to learn English, right? So you're in good shape because you were learning English, right? And you learn English and you have to have money to pay for it because it's really expensive to pay for, like Penn State for you all is a lot of money, right? And so, but the key is it's so much easier. So this is what you were saying, bro. Like the pressure in China is just so intense to continue going to the best possible universities. So here's a question though. When you return to China with a Penn State degree, how does that compare to a degree from a really good university in China?
I believe that because I'm a senior right now, so I have to choose if I'm going to grad school or I'm going back to China to apply for a job. So I know this a little bit better because my father tried to ask his friends like what kind of PSU degree is equivalent to. So according to the like the world ranking, Penn State is mostly like equivalent to like top ten universities in China.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So, however, my father mentioned that because you are already being in United States, the environment and the kind of solution, problems and all the things that you have met. The biggest issue is that when you get back to China and then you are going to fit in their Chinese environment, working placement environments, it might be a problem with that. So
Got you.
that is
Right,
some
so you have to-
companies' concerns.
I got
yes.
you. Okay. All right. So Penn State, equivalent to like one of the top, like a top 10 university in China. And the fact that you are here, do Chinese people see that? Do they see you as like spoiled? Like, okay, hang on. I'm going to do it. Do Chinese people often they tend to see you as like spoiled kids? Because I hear this a lot. You know, you're like, you know, you went off to the U.S. and you partied here. Like, what'd you do at Penn State? You partied, right? Like for 4 years. You didn't do shit. You partied. And then you go back to China and you're the spoiled Chinese kids who studied abroad. Is that a narrative that you all hear?
Basically.
Wait, hang on.
Sometimes.
Yeah. No, go
Sorry.
ahead.
It's common to be called a spoiled student, but you know, actually, these names are usually used for students in bad school, like the community college.
All right. Okay.
It's not used for like students
Like
in,
not like
in
Penn
a good
State.
school. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But that's not an uncommon narrative. Hey, by the way, so here a lot of Penn State students, a lot of people here in town think that all the Chinese students like are just so rich because you know people are driving around in like Maseratis and shit like that, right? Do any of you guys have like Ferraris and Maseratis and stuff? Range Rovers? Dude, what kind of car do you drive? I'm just asking. Do you have a boyfriend? Are you straight?
Yes, I'm straight.
You're straight? All right. Do you have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do.
Oh, all right. Well, forget it. What kind of car do you drive?
A Cayenne,
Wait, what do you drive?
a Porsche Cayenne.
A Porsche? Wait, so you are one of those spoiled rich kids.
Not really.
Dude, hang on a second. Hold on. Can you get a shot of his, come here a second. Can you get a shot of his shoes? Do you get those? Dude, all right. What kind of shoes are those, bro? No, hang on. Can you, what kind of shoes are those?
That's Golden Goose. GTDB.
How much are they?
It's like. No, it's $350.
Dude.
500.
Dude, I'm trying, bro. All right, $500.
$500.
All right, dude. I totally put you on the spot, my friend. All right. So, what do you have to say for yourself, my friend?
Not much.
By the way, I have his phone number if anybody wants it, right? There are a lot of people looking for a husband or boyfriend or something. Yeah. All right. Bro, what kind of car do you drive? I don't drive a car. He doesn't drive a car? Or you have a private jet or something?
My friend for a long time, so he drives me square.
Oh, he drives you everywhere you want to go? All right.
Like sometimes he
Dude, can I drive your car sometime?
Yes.
I could? Yes. Dude, I've been dying to drive. Okay, awesome, man. I had a student who had one of those like Maseratis and shit, and I did not take advantage. I wanted to take it out on the roads here outside of State College and like really open it up. But so this idea of, dude, are you okay? Do you don't hate me or anything? You're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So I have another question. Well, hang on. Does anybody who has a question that they want to ask? Hang on, bro.
I was wondering what you drive. your car?
What do I drive? Dude.
Just curious, not like trying to put you
I
on the
drive
spot.
no, it's all right. I drive a 2011 Ford. I got it from my mother-in-law. Before that, I drove a 1997. I got it used. I only got it a year ago. I drove a 1997 Acura until one day I asked my class, who was driving a car older than a 1997, and nobody was. And I said, all right, I got to get a new car. And before that, I drove a 1984 Toyota. So, yeah, no, I don't. But I'm going to be driving a Porsche here soon enough. Anybody else? Anybody have a question they want to ask about China? Yo, hang on, man. Yeah, bro, you are on, man. It's on. Yeah.
So you mentioned a lot of the like national ID card swipe access you need in buildings, like in the cities and whatnot. Is that also true for like rural areas as well? Do people need that there?
Dude, good question. Yeah. Yeah, like in rural areas where
Everyone in China have their own identity card, which is called national ID card. Yeah.
but how often do they use it in like rural areas? Are there checkpoint here? He's got
So in like rural area, like countryside, like each countryside, they only like have four or five entrance. So the leader of the village or something, they will put actual like big stones to stop from car going out and coming in. They will check like your QR code and stuff. Yeah.
So the code is it's actually a QR code on your
Yeah.
phone. Yeah. Damn. Yep, go ahead.
I also wanted to ask about like kind of how you go through the education system in China. You mentioned community colleges, and like anyone can go to a community college. You know, you don't need to have.
Yo, hang on. Yo. Hold on. Yo, just because that's up there, we still have 4 minutes left, y'all. 4 minutes.
Don't be disrespectful.
Yeah, come on, man. Like those two, yo, nobody leaves, all right? God, this is so, what am I like? Jesus. Go ahead, bro.
You don't need to have like any academic credentials to go, but you know, for someone who like has poor academics in the past, they can go to a community college, do really well, and then go to a great university to like finish off their education. I went to community college and I loved it, and I'm here now and things are going well. But I was wondering, like, how does the exam system work in China? Like, is there, if you don't do so well, like on the first go round, maybe in high school, do you have a second chance where you could maybe go to a good university later?
Like if you don't graduate high school, could you go right to college?
I think you don't have to graduate high school. You just need a score, but the test only given once a year. You can like retake it next year. Many people will like retake them and go to like senior year. Yeah.
So okay, so the key is the test.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Yeah. Okay, one final question, man.
So I was wondering, I've seen a lot in East Asian cultures where like even before COVID, like masking was like pretty common. So like what's kind of like the protocol with that? Like is it like if you have like the flu or like a cold, do you just say like, oh, I'm gonna put a mask on to protect others, or like what's the protocol there?
I mean, like you mentioned, like before COVID, somebody wore a mask in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my students here, like.
Yeah. So
often
basically,
wear masks.
it's basically what we have discussed. It's kind of like the greater good. So I don't want to spread virus to everybody else, because I have flu. For example, I have flu, and then there is no need for me to actually spread this out to the whole class. Yeah. So that's why they wear masks before the pandemic, also.
So
And
what?
also,
So what about also like pollution and different things, right? Is
The
that
what?
an issue? Pollution?
Oh yeah,
Air?
the pollution. Yeah, some 2 years before it was.
Yo,
a
hang on. Hey, dudes.
Huge topic.
Dudes, I think we have 1 minute left. All right. So like, I get it. 1 minute.
Yeah, it was a largely discussed topic. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Huh. Yeah. I mean, it's a huge thing. All right. So listen, man. Hey, y'all. thanks for talking. Dude.